And okay, here we go. Special edition Hero Mode podcast. We'll call it the solo edition this time around. My two brothers, Austin, Jay, and Sean Street, couldn't make it today, but they're here in spirit as usual. They're still my player 2 and 3. We're gonna call it a special edition because I am super excited personally. This is kind of a personal episode for me. Before I introduce our very special guest, I got a couple great loves in my life. My wife, my son, obviously comic books, but also the fighting game community. I've been in the community for a minute. I'm a 90s guy, 90s kid. I'm 38, so I'm an old man, and everything. I'm a little dusty. But so I grew up in the community. So this man I'm about to introduce, he is one of the first people, if not the first people to introduce esports teams. It was it for him as far as the fighting game community. We'll get into that and everything. But I want to introduce our special guest, hailing from Jamaica. I really appreciate his flexibility. We're trying to do this for a while. The Triforce Isiah Johnson. How are you, my friend? How's it going, man? I appreciate you coming on, man.
Thank you for having me, actually. I appreciate you having me on. I'd love to go over and talk with people who are interested in the history of gaming, competitive gaming as a whole, esports, and especially the fighting game community, because that's my roots of where competitive gaming start from.
Yeah.
It's a mess because I'm not a fighting game player. That's crazy. I'm not a fighting game player. I'm like I play video games generally. Even right now as I'm talking, so your audience ever wonders, what is this guy looking up? I'm playing Tetris right now. This is how I think. So
Yeah.
it's no disrespect to your podcast, but like when I'm thinking, having a conversation with people, I like running blocks in the background, and so it gets me into the ethos of the entire conversation. But I'm not a fighting game player.
Yeah.
I play fighting games. I've played them competitively, but I didn't started playing them competitively until I met guys like Kraymore, Dominion, Sanford, Jerron, and the entire lot of guys that they then brought me into the fighting game community, the competitive. So those are the guys that really got me into fighting games and so forth. Am I good at them? I would like to say that I'm fundamentally okay. Can I compare myself to those guys? No. And a lot of people think I'm this fighting game god. Like, nah. I'm like, have I won a couple of tournaments? Yes, actually.
Yeah.
But I'm no master at the level of these guys. And that's what we all know our role. That's what makes the Empire the Empire. We all know our role and stuff like that. We play to our strengths. But when I formed Empire Arcadia, we were just this competitive gaming team. We compete in classic games, RTS games. When I say classic, so we're talking about like the old school games, Pac-Man, original Tetris, Mario Kart, the conventional games. Then we played in the genre-based games, RTS like Command and Conquer. Jerron and I used to play in that. Seriously, the RTS games. Then we got it. First-person shooter games. We just call them shooter games. They were never called FPS games. They were called shooter games at the time. It depends on what games you were competing in. Some games were third-person. Most games were first-person. So they were just shooter games. But people confuse the genre. They think like scrolling shooters and shooter games are two different genres. So when you say shooter, people think you're talking about Contra, Life Force, R-Type, any of the space games. But those are scrolling shooters. And then you have the shooter games, which is like Call of Duty and whatever. And what's the name of these games? Doom and Winback and Gears of War and what's the Unreal.
Unreal Tournament, yeah.
Unreal is that. Those are the real games. So we played all these different types of games competitively. We'd go to conventions before there was a MagFest. They were called the P Series. So it turned from P Series into music and games into MagFest. So we went that far back, and this is like the early 2000s, 2002, 2003, and so forth. But the Empire thrived in fighting games.
Mm.
And because the Empire went around, we won, um, I think like 13, 14 Evo World Championships as a team.
Dang,
Yeah,
dang.
so as a team, we have the most Evo championships ever.
Mm.
Uh, as a team, we are, I'm reading it off the wall as we see here, the most documented tournament wins for a gaming team stands, and this is back in 2015 at 2,000,
Right,
achieved by
right.
Empire Arcadia, USA. We're now like 26, 2,700 wins in. We
Mm.
don't compete like how we used to compete back then, and this isn't just in fighting games. This is just in competitive gaming overall.
Yeah.
We've had a Halo team, we had a Gears of War team, we have different players for fighting games. Then you have myself and some of the OGs who go into the classic games of the realm of the elder gods. That's what we call them now. So that's like
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah.
old school guys like Todd Rogers and Billy Mitchell that everybody would like to attack
Ooh, Billy
and
Mitchell. Yeah,
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 and
man.
he got his records reinstated.
Good.
So all that fighting for no reason.
Yeah, yeah. He got
uh,
played. Unfortunately.
yeah, unfortunately, but those guys are the eras that I come from. So
Mm.
um, that's where my expertise were in. So we made
Mm.
it two pronged. So we told the guys, okay, guys, look, you guys are good at fighting games. You go there and you go win the fighting games. And
Mm.
me and Jerron, and well, Jerron is actually a lot more diversified than even I am because Jerron was playing high, he was playing upper level fighting games
Mm.
competitively, and he was also playing upper level classic games competitively.
Mm.
So Jerron was on both spectrums and so forth. And since we had just all these top tier players together in a group, we were able to attack the competitive gaming scene
Mm.
globally.
Mm.
And so Australia, Japan, China, Germany, London, you name it, the United States, shit, even certain parts of Africa, the Caribbean, Canada. So we've hit like all five of the seven major regions in the world. Obviously, Antarctica does not count, so you can't go down there. There's nothing there.
Mm.
And we just anywhere we went, mid tier or major or world, we've won over 2,700 tournaments, um, 24 world championships, 13 of them in the fighting game community.
Mm.
We registered all this to Guinness, and then Guinness literally awarded us or certified us. That's the actual name. This is because it's a certificate. So it's a recognition from Guinness Book of World Records as the number one winning esports team in the world. And it took us a little bit under 20 years to do it.
Mm.
So whereas we're not the most popular or recognized by popularity,
Mm.
but in Guinness, the number one winning team in the world is Empire Arcadia, and we're
Got
trying
you.
to keep that going. So thank you for having me on. That was my long introduction. Wanted to get everybody else involved in terms of the history and the context behind it. Sound
Nah,
like
no, we need it because you know what? I don't think our audience is primarily anime and comic books and video games and as far as our topics. So I
mhm.
don't I appreciate that because I don't think our audience is is dominantly members of the FGC, you know.
I don't think anyone's in members of the
Nah,
FTC of late, though. To be
nah,
honest
yeah,
with
yeah, no, not anymore. And we've been talking about that the last couple weeks how things
you,
have changed.
a lot.
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, let me circle back because back in the day when I first heard of you guys, and I was
Mhm.
again I'm in Connecticut, and I would go to CTF,
Chinatown
everyone
Fair.
Chinatown Fair, and every once in a while because I was still in high school, so I had the money for the train. I would take the train after school, and this was back when Alpha, yeah, I'll say Alpha 3 and Third
Alpha.
Strike,
Okay.
Street Fighter, yeah, Street Fighter Alpha 3 and Third Strike was running hot, and then during that in Marvel, and that's when Marvel 2 was running hot too at the time. But it felt like to me, a couple of things. A, arcades were dying. Um,
Yeah, they were.
yeah, arcades are dying
And
at that point.
they pretty much did die.
Yeah.
Now you have ruins of the arcades.
Yeah, no, it is. Yeah.
Arcades exist, but they're kind of like ancient. Like it's like Egypt. Like we know the ancient civilization only exists because they are there, but
Hmm.
it's not like they're not thriving. They don't
Nah.
thrive. They're there for a historical purpose.
Yeah, no, it's true because like the main spot I would go to was called the Milford Arcade,
Oh,
and
I know that.
yeah, Milford. So that was about 20 minutes from me, so that was my main spot during the week, during the weekdays. So my dad would take me there and
Mhm.
give me $5, and $5, for a 5 cent quarter, excuse me, a 25 cent game, you're rich. So, but
Yeah.
pretty much if you run through that $5, no matter how quickly that is, we're going home. So I'd play Street Fighter 2, and then the big kids would play Mortal Kombat, and then the other kids would be like, Samurai Showdown, and
Showdown. Mhm.
yep,
King of
Virtual Fight,
Fighters.
King, yep,
Yeah.
KOF, etc. so forth. But if you wanted to get really good, you go to CTF, and then I
Mhm.
heard of this place called the Arc,
Ah,
and I didn't know what that was at the time. I just wanted to be. I knew I was pretty good. I wanted to be better. And then that's when I heard of yourself, uh, Eddie Lee,
mhm.
et cetera. So, and et cetera, so forth. But I always felt that the East Coast was more competitive than, let's say, the West Coast. They're just more killers at the time, if I'm wrong.
Um, the- I don't know. I don't know about that. There's a lot of context has to be taken into that
Let's
because
do it.
I don't want to diminish the ability of the West Coast
Hmm.
because the West Coast was the championships we won were not easy.
Mm.
So we had a Michael Jordan on our team, and then a Scottie Pippen, and then a LeBron James all at the same time.
Yeah.
So by having those guys, it appeared easy, but it was not easy.
Mm.
The West Coast was no slouch.
Okay.
It wasn't because we were more competitive than they were. They
Okay.
were just as competitive. The thing with the West Coast is the West Coast was more commercial.
Mm.
A lot of people don't understand the grime that they had their own. They have their own because this is going to get a little bit personal in a
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
So and it has to be because it's what separates the West Coast from the East Coast.
Yeah.
So I'll look at it like this: the West Coast was like in the pantheons and the god of war.
Mm.
East Coast was Kratos and the barbarians.
Okay.
So the gods were very powerful, but they had a society and an infrastructure that was built long before the empire came.
Mm.
These got keep in mind, Battle at the Bay existed in the 90s, not
Yep.
the 2000s.
That's right. Yep.
So the West Coast already had a developed competitive arcade scene. They already had a structured community, but they never had teams.
Mm.
Everyone was individuals, so everyone was their own
Mm.
god, so to speak.
Hmm.
And these guys used to go into the arcades and they used to fight each other and grind at the highest level.
Hmm.
On the East Coast, we were still living in caves.
Hmm.
Empire Arcadia, well, I'm trying to be metaphorical here, people. Try not to take this out of context, right? We
No,
were
I
still
get you.
living in caves like barbarians.
Hmm.
The Ark had fighters in it, but in the entire East Coast, you had Empire Arcadia, the small faction of fighters that gathered together, go into a house, play video games, go into the arcade, and beat up on other barbarians.
Mm.
Now, we just so happen to have some strong fighters in Justin and Sanford.
Hmm.
So when the Marvel scene came out, we had those guys, but these guys were in the West Coast were highly advanced. They had strong fighters. They had strong fighters in Marvel, but they
Hmm.
also had strong fighters in King of Fighters, the virtual games. Street Fighter, and so forth. We were just getting into. We had Marvel on lock, so that it just so happened that we had the number one game. We had the number one hypest game. We had the best players for it. But the West Coast, they didn't have bums. They had guys that were giving the East Coast guys problems. But we had a Michael Jordan to defer to.
Okay.
So if you took Justin out of the equation, the West Coast, I don't know if it'd be 50-50.
Okay.
The West Coast could beat up on the East Coast, or the East Coast could beat up on the West Coast. So
Okay.
Justin was the defining factor between the two coasts. And Justin, he's in the Empire. He wasn't like East Coast. He was repping the Empire. So like in 2003, the West Coast was beef. The B series was dominated by the West Coast. West Coast was winning everything until 2002. Justin had went down there and won. This was the first. So from 1996, 7, 8, 9, 2001, 6 years, West Coast was washing the East Coast. So, so they were ultra competitive. They were washing the East Coast for 6 years. Then Justin went over there in 2002. He wasn't a part of EMP yet. He gave East Coast one of its first significant win. He's not the only win. It's just he gave them their first significant win. And then he ended up joining Empire Arcadia late 2002, going into 2003. At that time, him and Sanford went to UCLA. And the entire point was this was the move the East Coast was going to make. So the Empire said, okay, let's send our guys out there to represent. Mike Ross can corroborate the story. He'll tell you they had a big tournament at UCLA. Here comes Sanford and Justin. They're doing their thing in the competition. Justin wins the competition. He stands on stage, young Justin. He goes, "Hail to the Empire!"
Yeah. I did hear that story.
Was like, what the
Empire?
Fuck? He said, "What type of Third Reich Hitler shit is going on?"
Yeah.
So when Justin came back, I was like, I really appreciate the rep, but let's not do this because we don't want people to think
it's a bunch of Nazis.
You were Nazis or some shit like that. But Justin was young, and you know, like when you're young and gamers are into anime. So when he's playing with that fervor of like he's representing something bigger than himself. Yeah. So this is outside of 2002. This is the first real proclamation that the East Coast is here. Yeah. So West Coast is like, these motherfuckers have an empire? Yeah. So now the West Coast is like, all right, let's go over to the East Coast and show these barbarians that they're like, look, that's a nice little fluke, but like we got real Marvel players and Street Fighter players too, and we'll whoop your ass and whatnot. Now, one moment. Just one bite. Enter when the West Coast was coming down. This is what was the separation between the East Coast and Empire Arcadia. A lot of people will look at Empire Arcadia as representing the East Coast, but we're not the East Coast. We're the Empire. We reside in the East Coast.
Got you.
When the West Coast would come down and fuck up the East Coast, it was the Empire that fought back for the East Coast indirectly. You understand the distinctions I'm trying to make?
Yeah.
So the Empire was giving the East Coast a name because we're here on the East Coast. We would defend the East Coast because we're here. And the East Coast didn't even like the Empire. That's the funny part. And I'm like, I find that funny. But we're representing, defending you assholes. And you guys are going to hate on us. Yeah. But it's whatever. We wanted to focus on the unity. Members in the East Coast community started to understand what Empire Arcadia was about. We're this gaming team. And because people's like, gaming team? What the fuck? They started listing us in tips and tricks when we went out and winning video game tournaments. Empire Arcadia as a team. everyone was like, "You mean like a team, like a 3v3 Marvel team?" Was like, no, like an actual video game esports team.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Bro, you can't. What are you gonna do? Make a living off of this?" And was like, "Yeah, that's pretty much the ideal." You know, the X Games started up the same way. And they're like,
Yeah.
"You guys are stupid. Go get a job, get a girl." I'm like, "I have a job. I work at Game Express. I'm
Right.
married, unlike you motherfuckers who are
Right.
fucking girls at the arcades." I'm like,
Right.
"We have a gaming house already." So we wanted to make sure we checked off all the social condemning things that people would say, back in the schools in the 80s and the
Yep.
90s. You
Yeah.
play
For
video
sure.
games like, "You're such a loser.
Yeah. You're a
You're
heathen.
not
You're.
Jordans." Yeah,
Yeah. You're
they,
definitely a heathen.
they would tease you all those. So we're like, okay, the CEO is gonna set an example. I got a bad hot chick as a wife.
Mm.
Like, when we forged the empire, we had a division. We was like, no empire, no nation, no group of people, no civilization can exist without women.
It's true.
So when the empire was created, simultaneously, the Valkyries did not come after the empire. The Valkyries started with the empire. Unlike Adam and Eve, it wasn't Adam and then Eve came. It was
Mm.
Adam and Eve off rip.
Yeah.
So when I forged the empire, my wife was the main inspiration for the empire. Told her what my father told me. So, "You love video games?" I said, "Yes." He says, "If you want video games to be a part of your life where you can play comfortably, then you need to focus on how to make it your job
Mm.
that it makes money." That's before the empire. We were called Videoland,
Mm.
and we were just a bunch of delinquent ass kids. We had a gaming house. We had all the systems.
Yeah.
I just got a job just to pay the rent and the light, just so we can get games to just play video games like
Yeah.
losers, right? And yes, and if you're doing that right now, you're a loser. We were losers then. We just grew out of being a loser because we was like, my father's like, "The fuck are you doing?" And then I was married, and we was playing video games. And I was ignoring my wife and all this other stupid dumb shit we were doing when we were kids. But then I said, "All right." My wife was like, "If you don't turn this video game shit into something, I'm leaving."
Mm.
So I was like, "All right, guys, we got to do something about this," because that was like I don't want to lose my wife.
Mm.
So that's how I decided to turn Videoland into Empire Arcadia. There's a whole backstory for Videoland, but we could probably do that for another podcast in itself. We
Yeah.
kind of stick on like the Empire moving forward. So that's how we said we're going to organize this like a team. We had our starting five. We have people coming off the bench.
Yeah.
I'm a Chicago Bulls fan. I'm a Scottie Pippen name. A lot of
Yeah.
people want to hate me. Michael Jordan is godlike, but he's not the GOAT to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't be the GOAT by being selfish.
Yeah.
There are characteristics that come with being the GOAT. He is one of the greatest players of all time.
Yeah.
So,
But he's also one of the biggest scumbags. You know?
exactly.
Yeah.
And for me, because I think as a team, winning is a team thing.
Yeah.
And if we're gonna go with greatest of all time, well, then it's Bill Russell.
Mm.
Argue, "Oh, he's not as good as Michael Jordan." He doesn't need to be. His team is better.
Mm.
He did an 8-peat and he has 11 rings.
Yeah.
Stop talking to me. I don't want to hear about it. So for us, we didn't give a shit if Sanford was better. Well, I can't say me. I didn't give a shit if Sanford was better than Justin or Yipes was better than Justin or Sanford's better than I didn't care.
Yeah.
Win. That's it. Win. That's all I cared about. One moment.
Yeah, you're good. I mean, thinking back then, and again, I'm 38 now, and just looking back, I'm 38 now, so I remember these things like yesterday, so I wasn't young. I wasn't so young where I don't remember. I was old enough to have a good idea of what was going on, who was good, who was not good, et cetera, so forth. The Japanese, man, I mean, at least during that time, Nuki, obviously Daigo. Everyone's going to go straight to Daigo. I think off the jump. He's almost like the Michael Jordan. I say of the Japanese players. Yeah. No, I don't see the FGC.
Now, you know what's so funny about that? He wasn't.
No.
He wasn't even. He's not even their best player. He's not Japan. In hindsight, now he's one of the gods of Japan. His longevity. If I had to if I had to look at Daigo as a player,
Mm-hmm.
he resembles more LeBron James.
Okay.
The totalitarian, the totalitarian, the combination of his entire career, his body of work, is
Mm-hmm.
what defines him,
Okay.
not a period of time within the scene.
Okay.
Daigo just won Japan Evo, what, a
Yeah,
year or two
I
ago?
think like a year or two, but he wasn't winning anything before. Like he had
Yeah,
a
but he's in his 40s.
yes.
See my point?
Yeah.
And like
Age. Yeah.
LeBron James won Los Angeles Lakers championship at 38.
Yeah.
No, what's the 38? What am I talking about? Like, but in his late 30s. The point is, at the latter end of his career, he was still able to win something.
Yeah.
So that's really Daigo. I put him as LeBron James. People would think that's an insult because they like Michael Jordan's better. I think LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan.
I agree.
That's just my thing. If someone said, take Scottie Pippen, here LeBron James,
Mm-hmm.
he's winning 8-9 championships
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because
Mm-hmm.
he has a utility man.
Yep.
And Michael Jordan had that.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Jordan was able to rebound and assist and do all these things. Excuse me, but he had a utility man. He had a man who was willing to do things
Mm-hmm.
that took the pressure off of him, so he could do things that would take pressure off the utility man.
Mm-hmm.
He understood that. Him and Scotty understood that.
Yeah.
That chemistry is what made the Bulls dynasty so godlike. But
Yeah.
LeBron James does not have that, and he never had that.
No,
the
he didn't.
closest he had was the Miami Heat.
Yeah.
And well,
And Dwayne. Yeah.
with Dwayne Wade and whatnot. And if they stood together, they would have won more championships.
Yeah.
To be very honest with you. But we're in a hyper age where if you don't win in the first 2 or 3 years, we're getting rid of you. Like, bro,
Yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
stay together for more than that. 5 years at least, so the cohesion of the chemistry of the team sticks together.
Yeah.
So for the Empire, I thought of the Empire as like a basketball team.
Yeah.
And I had to look at it that way. The number one thing any team needs to survive, chemistry.
Mm.
Someone has to check these egos.
Yeah.
You can't have Ricky Ortiz,
Yeah.
Taro, Sanford, Dominion, Justin, Yipes, Issei. Well, not Issei was humble.
Mm-hmm.
And the other cast of all these god tier fighters.
Yeah.
And somebody not checking the ego.
Yeah.
Then when the mid-age of players came in, like KDZ, CD Jr., Perfect Legend, and all the that was the hardest. I believe I had the hardest job in EMP. I had to manage all of these gods in one room. And I would get this, yo, you know I'm really better than him, right? And I'm like, and I said, well, you guys are all good. Nah, stop.
Right.
You know
Right.
I'm really better, right?
Right.
And I'm like, well, let's see what happens at the tournament results. I'm
Right.
not going to take sides. And
Right.
there are times I had to take sides because, and I would always take the side of the player that was losing, not the side of the player that was winning. The player that's winning doesn't need me cheerleading them. They won already. I need to somehow psychologically condole the loser on the team because I don't want him to feel like no one's giving him any attention and then they will leave, which happened a lot in the team. That's one. And if you ask any sports teams, they got to deal with the same thing. They got to check Kyrie and LeBron's egos, and if you don't, one is gonna leave. That's why I say Scottie Pippen is my favorite player of all time. Because this man said, for the sake of winning, I don't even like this nigga Jordan. Oh, I gotta watch my mouth. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
I don't even like this guy Jordan, but for the sake of winning, I will have I'm trying to look for the word for this. I will have a neutral relationship. The winning is what will keep us as friends, but we're not friends like that. The winning. Michael Jordan knew this, so he's like, I don't invite anybody to my house to practice. But Scotty, I see the skill in you. Iron sharpens iron. You can come to my house. We can play. You'll know my weaknesses. I'll know your weaknesses. This is what will make me better. I need to get better so that the team can win. Pippen is like, okay, I'll play number 2. I could use, by playing number 1, I can even get better as a number 2 and help the team win. So they both had this understanding. All right, know your role. I'll know my role. We'll sharpen our swords against each other, and then we can go out to the team. Michael didn't have a relationship with the team. Pippen did. He used Pippen. He's like, man, them bums are not on my level, and I don't need to talk to them. I'm hyper exaggerating how he talked to them. I'm just getting to the point. You talk to them, right? You're more relatable to them than I am, but I am Michael Jeffrey Jordan, Jesus in sneakers. Jesus does not come and talk to these people. Disciple John, which is Scottie Pippen. You're one of the 12 disciples. Go and talk to the teammates. I'm out in the field praying to God right now. Go and talk to the bums. And Scottie will come back. Where's the master? The master is praying to the Lord, our God. But he said that we must practice every day. So that's how he was used. So my role on the team was Scottie Pippen's role. That's my role. And the gods, Jesus would change every now and then, depending on who won. And my job was to balance that. But getting back to the East Coast thing, knowing that that's what I had to do, when I was able to balance the chemistry of the team, that is why we had a team strong enough, a small group within the East Coast. So the East, you know how big the East Coast is, but this one tiny group can hold up an entire coast. To the point we used to say the West Coast would come over, we'd wash them. Then we like, let's go over the West Coast and wash them. And we would go over there, and that's why I said the West Coast was no slouch, because we'd only beat the West Coast in like 1 or 2 games, and the West Coast would hold their own in the rest. They may not hold up in Marvel. They may not have held up in Marvel or whatever the case may be. And then it's back and forth in third strike, but we don't take the prize possession. Super turbo.
Was that Valle and Troy?
And we don't take the alphas. We don't take Capcom versus SNK. The third strike was a battle back and forth, because remember, Ricky Ortiz is West Coast.
He's West Coast. West
Coast. Then when Ricky joined the Empire, now the Empire, it's like a chess game. We were able, like the United States, we were able to put a proxy in your region. So like when we need war done, so Ricky would win in the West Coast, and it's like, oh, West Coast won. Now he's a part of Empire. And then wait, what? That's still don't count. Nah, that's not East Coast. But so we were like, you're right, it isn't East Coast. It's Empire. So people started to understand, like, wait a minute, what is Triforce doing? And I'm like, Empire Arcadia is not an East Coast. Empire Arcadia is the United States. I didn't want a coast. There's a line I stole from Cannabis. And I used to rap the line all the time when we was at big tournaments and we were winning 5-6 games. What was the line? Oh, I traveled as something from border to border, will battle the whole planet in alphabetical order from A to Z, whatever the case be. That's us. So we weren't trying to represent the East Coast. We were trying to represent the nation. The reason why we was trying to represent the nation, because my goal was to prove that Japan is not invincible. So while everybody's fighting amongst each other, the emperor is sitting there is like, how can we fight Japan?
You know what this reminds me of? I mean, I think I said it to you off stream when we were rapping a couple weeks ago. You're like Chow Chow. Chow Chow was trying to. Everyone hated on Chow Chow.
Unite the 3 kingdoms.
Correct. Chow Chow was trying to unite the 3 kingdoms and make us stronger. The enemy at the time was Daigo and Tokido, etc., Japan.
So we needed players from the north, west, south, and east of the United States. So that's how guys like Flo came involved. That's how we got guys like Flash Metroid. So we had guys in northeast. We had guys in down south. We had guys in the West Coast. We had guys in the East Coast. We had guys in the Midwest. Then we said, let's expand the empire. We went up. We got Prez and the rest of them out in Canada. Then we started dealing with what's his name? Dark Geese in Mexico. And then he burned in Luca and all these other guys. So now we have players in Canada, the all 4 regions of the United States, Mexico. Let's go down into the Caribbean, in Jamaica, St. Martin. Then I was like, let's move out and go across the seas. Let's go get somebody out of Japan. Issei came over to Chinatown. He was in New York for a while. We brought Issei in the team. So now we have a Japanese. So I was like, now that we're able to play against the Japanese, beat them, because then like we had the whole Justin was trying to fight. Justin was fighting against Daigo and losing, and then what was the first? This was the first strike against Japan because we were fighting against Daigo.
Was it
Jago?
Oh, okay.
Jago.
Twisted Jago.
Bison versus Ryu, and when Jago beat Daigo, oh my goodness, that shit! The grin was ear to ear. I was sitting there like that, and you know why I like the fact that it was Jago that had the first strike against Daigo, because everyone was saying all you have is Justin, and without Justin, the Empire doesn't exist. So for me, I was just happy it was someone other than Justin.
They had to hold that.
It needed to be someone other than Justin.
Yeah.
So then now we are. The first strike against Daigo was Ricky Ortiz. This is in 2003, but that was in third strike. It was some nonsense. The ruling on that made Daigo win, but Ricky Ortiz was supposed to win third strike. There was a judgment in the game, some nonsense, and then
did it pause mid-game?
I forgot what it was. Did Ricky win third strike? One second. Let me Google this. We got time.
Yeah. Check the tapes. Yeah.
Third strike, 2003. My mind. This was 2003 Evo, and I'm trying to biggest. No. Come on. Ricky Ortiz. KO versus this is YouTube. All right, let me see the YouTube video.
Okay.
What, bro? Oh my goodness. List of Evolution Championship Series. Okay, good. Let's go to 2003. I'm gonna go all the way back. Wait, what? Huh? Last blue. No, all right, let's just go to third strike. Let's go Injustice King of Fighters. Where's the third strike? Once I find the game, we're good. Wait, what is this? Street Fighter Series. Okay, good. 2003. Third strike. Daigo won. Daigo did win.
Okay.
Daigo won, but no, that's sweet. That's Super Turbo. Third strike. It was Kenji. KO beat. Wait, what?
I remember there's this one where KO beat Daigo. I just didn't remember what.
No, KO beat Daigo. Oh, okay, that's not what it was. It was Daigo was in a fight against Ricky.
Okay.
And it went to judgment, and it made Daigo end up winning. And then Daigo went on to fight Kenji, KO, and then KO won.
KO won, yeah.
My memory is foggy there because I'm like, something happened between Ricky and Daigo and whatnot. But that's when I first saw that we had a chance against Daigo, because the guys would argue with me in Chinatown when we used to go to Wohop and have our meetings, eating dinner there, and the guys are like, Triforce, you don't understand how the Japanese are. And I, being from the ghetto, I use lyrical metaphors to kind of make people understand, because I wasn't too great at articulating certain speeches to kind of rile up the morale of the team. So I'd be like,
really?
Yeah. I use Tupac, Biggie, Cannabis, mad people. So
you can be a motivational speaker, man. You got the voice.
Now,
yeah.
Yeah, now, but back then I was
Okay.
like 20 something.
Okay.
So
Okay.
like, keep in mind, I'm like almost 50. So like this is
Yeah.
like almost 30 years ago.
Right.
So
Right. Right.
well, actually, it's officially 20 years ago. As
Yeah.
this is 2003, it's 2024. So I'm
2024.
like, part of my language, this is just lyrics being recited from
Yep.
a rap song.
Yep.
So when they used to bring up Japan, you can ask Executioner, Desmond Pickney, and Chris,
Okay.
Matrix.
Matrix.
When they used to say, Triforce, the Japanese are so good, and blah, blah, I was sitting at the table and just keep listening to them. And I'm like, I can't understand how you guys listen to hip hop and then you're telling me this shit in my face. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
Biggie used to say, niggas bleed just like us. Picture a nigga scared of a nigga that breathes the same air as me.
Right.
So I'm like, these guys are not aliens. They're just like us. They're human. They just live in Japan.
Yeah.
So
They
I would
bleed.
say
Yeah.
that all the time. And I'm like, Triforce, this is not some hip hop song. And so my job was I have to keep the spirit up. It's the spirit that they need to fight them. As if in their mind they believe that they're better than them, they've lost the fight before the fight began. They've lost.
Were they Vegeta to their Goku?
Who?
The boys.
Oh,
as far as training and trying to go against Japan. If they're feeling that they're always being one up.
Japan is Goku.
Uh-huh.
Then some of the players in Empire were Vegeta.
Okay.
Justin was Gohan.
Okay.
Cell Gohan.
Okay.
So,
okay.
And for those who are watching this podcast, is like, what are these geeks talking about? We're comparing it. We're talking about an anime. So so like Goku is like the top, right? He's like the Michael Jordan, and then the other players are like Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley is, people don't know how good Charles Barkley is. Jordan actually almost lost him.
Yeah, no, Barkley was good. Barkley was really good. Yeah,
but Justin was like Iverson.
Okay, one of my favorites.
So he's in a league of his own. He can beat Jordan, and he doesn't look at Jordan as some godlike player. He's like, I'll break his ankles.
Yeah,
like he's a GOAT. And and that fervor is what Justin had, and I'm trying to take that off of him and put that onto the players.
Okay.
And one of the players I really, the person I see as Vegeta is Sanford Kelly.
Yeah.
I'm a Vegeta fan. So
same.
Sanford was my player because Sanford, although he had certain mental weaknesses at that time, if you could dig deep down into Sanford's spirit and break him out, he can turn into Gohan. So remember, like when Gohan was fighting Cell, and he's like, "Dad, I can't do it," and he's like, "No, you can. You just gotta dig deep. You just gotta let go." And then Justin's over there like, "You're not even on my level." And then Yipes would come, hit Justin from the back, and he'd be like, "Yipes!" And they're like, "Sanford, no!" That's exactly. So when Sanford gets his first win over Justin, unfortunately, it doesn't stick.
Okay.
Sanford has to keep getting gassed again. He'll get the win, and he's hyped up for a little bit, but then he reverts back to Kid Gohan, get back into his books, stop being a fighter. The point I'm trying to make with Sanford is the potential is there.
Yeah.
But the potential, he needs a Piccolo, like I'm his Piccolo. He needs someone to constantly be there to keep pushing him to train. So that was like Sanford's situation. With Justin just wants to fight all the gods. Even people stronger than him, because he knows if he fights stronger people, he becomes stronger. But then Justin realized that Sanford's Vegeta. And he's like, I'll use Sanford to get better. So although there's a lot of negatives that came with it or whatever, because of arguing and the complaining and the fighting and whatever, but that's every team in the universe of existing sports. That's what happens. They used each other. Then when the two of them were busy battling each other, an outsider came in from Dead Cell, IFC Yipes, and we call him Broly. so he came in, and these two was like, what is this guy doing over here? And he was like, and who are you? We're the gods of Marvel. And Yipes was like, then make me bow. and they're
Right.
over there punching him, and he's just like, "Get out of
Yeah.
here!" Like,
He's just
like
taking
it. And we were I think one of the things that made the team so great is that the the stories of the battles between them,
Mm.
it's stuff we can sit down over dinner and talk about and laugh at that
Mm-hmm.
would make them go, all right, next time I'm gonna whoop your ass.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a team of like killers just going at each other. And I'm like, if I can concentrate this in an area where a exclusive area where they can just practice together, this will make them the world's deadliest fighters.
Mm.
Japan, China, Germany, UK, none of it matters. We
Mm.
can fight them. It's like I'm creating a world within the world.
Mm.
So I'm making my own world on planet Earth. So I have a
Multiverse, yeah.
planet I'll fight it. I'm creating a Justice League that can fight all of these other Justice League people in the world.
Yeah.
So these guys will go against each other. Sanford versus Jerron, even the twins, Claymore and Dominion, who
Yeah.
are not even at their level. They're like Goten and Gohan.
Yeah.
Goten and Trunks, I mean.
Mm.
Just by being around these murderers, these guys are powering up and whatnot. So they become Saiyans too. And then everyone becoming Saiyans. So now we had an entire league of Saiyans. Everybody can become Super Saiyan. You know, the three gods, you have Beast Gohan, and you have Legendary Super Saiyan Broly, and then you have Ultra Instinct Goku, and then you have Ultra Ego Vegeta. So we had those guys. But then it's like, all right, we need to get the other players. We don't need Yamchas or Tiens or Chaosus. We need that's kind of insulting, but we need like top tier people who are gonna fight.
Yeah.
That's their job. So all of those players started to level up, and then they brought on other players throughout the United States who saw them and whatnot for what they were doing. At one time, we had a problem winning at Super Turbo. We were good, but we had Flash Gordon. We had a bunch of guys. Rest in peace, Flash.
Yeah,
so
Flash, rest in peace. Yeah.
Well, we had a bunch of other guys, and even in the Marvel series, Lifetime Boy came around for a third strike. Snake Eyes came around for Super Turbo in like the latter end of the year, and Snake Eyes. When we saw Snake Eyes, we was like, "Yo, he is godlike." There's a whole situation with Snake Eyes and them because with the history of the Empire, people try to like change history to make it like, oh, this guy wasn't on your team. And we got like, not only do we have like video evidence, like we logged these people.
I didn't know Snake Eyes was with
briefly,
you guys.
2010.
Wow, I didn't know that. I mean,
at Evo.
At Evo, I first saw him.
He's in the King of Chinatown movie. When he won, I'm standing right next to him with the Evo championship, and like, at least we got a win in 2010.
I gotta run it back. I gotta run it back and see. Yeah, no, because I first saw him. It's on tape, so you can't deny it. No, I first saw him. I want to say when he was playing as still obviously playing as Zangief, but when he was running it back against I forget what tournament it was.
I forgot the guy's name. It is it was a Ryu player. Him and the Ryu player were like the two best.
Okay.
There's a black guy. Both for those who don't know, both of them are black. If people are wondering what does the race have to do with it, it does a lot because the fighting game community is massively mixed. That's the one thing I like about the fighting game community.
It is.
It's not one race.
Yeah.
It's literally the world.
It is very much.
But yeah, I forgot. It's not DMG or DVG. I forgot the guy, but it's a top tier Ryu player. Mm-hmm. He used to go against that top tier Ryu player all the time. Can you turn that fan towards me for a little bit? So, but yeah, the point is we gathered all those players. Once all those players were, is there any wind in your mic? Do you hear anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure this the fan behind me is not.
Oh yeah. No, you're good.
These players all served the purpose. And the purpose of all these players was to build up the team because we had two goals. Create the number one fighting game team along with the number one esports team in the world. We felt once we got there, that is when we were gonna be able to break out into the industry. We wanted to be a team that would help build the esports globally, not just for fighting games. That's why we went and we worked with MLG when MLG was first starting up. We literally went to their office in downtown Manhattan. We spoke with Di Giovanni. We spoke with Mike Sepso and all those other guys. We wanted them to take in the fighting game community along with the first-person shooters because we like Empire Arcadia. We didn't want EMP to be a league because if Empire Arcadia became a league and it was also a team, then people could say the Empire is a fraud. How can you be a league and have your own team and then competing against it? Then your wins are fraudulent. Because then people can say we're rigging the tournaments, which people said when we used to have regular locals. Triforce is rigging the brackets so Justin and Sanford can win. When before we had Battlefield Arcadia, Justin and Sanford was winning. And I'm like, wait, what? They were whooping your ass before I formed Battlefield Arcadia.
Right.
And then I said, all right. So there was a whole story about Battlefield Arcadia and Chinatown Fair and Guard Coast.
Guard Crush?
Guard Crush, sorry, I said Guard Coast, and all the other minor leagues that they were building in New York City. So I was like, okay, since you guys think that the Empire is cheating and Justin and Sanford and Yipes and all these guys at Dominion and Jago and the rest are all whooping you guys' ass, Huggy Bear, Evil, Rashawn, since that's a problem, we'll just go to your tournaments.
Yeah.
You just came to their tournaments. And that's it. But unfortunately, they didn't like that.
Yeah.
And so they stopped coming to Battlefield Arcadia.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to support putting any money into the Empire. I used to have podcasts like this on YouTube where I was complaining about you guys, we're the biggest esports team in the fighting game scene. Yet nobody wants to invest in the team. Here comes Evil Genius with Alex Garfield's Evil Genius. Let me say it like that because I don't want to insult Evil Genius as a whole. I want to talk about the person who was in charge of that administration at the time.
Okay.
Alex Garfield's Evil Genius came in talking about he wants to buy players out of the Empire. He wants to take Justin. He wanted. We were at E3. Me, Kubu, Wes, our Smash Brothers division, Deadly Alliance, Savasia, Justin, myself, a couple of other guys were there. My man Alex Garfield. This is 10 years now, so I can release this e-file. And I said, yo, close on Empire Arcadia. I give you and Justin $25,000 each. I'm looking at this guy in his face. I'm like, see, this is where race. You see, as a black person, for white people out there, as a black person, when you come to us with insulting deals like that, we don't know whether you're just a scumbag trying to swindle us or you're literally being racist. What is $25,000 going to do for me? We built an empire. What are you talking about? Why would I give that up? For what? I'm like, the brand alone, the net worth of the brand. Here's an example. Let's say we kept 95% of all the top tier players in Empire Arcadia, and they survived till this day. Meaning we still have Armada, we still have Mewtwo King, the entire coast of the entire Chinatown Fair fighting game community, our Gears of War team, our Halo team, and I still have all of them now in today's esports climate. How much money do you think I'd be worth? Just me.
Yeah.
When Alex Garfield was telling me that, I was already thinking about 2025. Right. And I'm like, bro, I need a cool 5 million stack.
Yeah.
That's what I need 5 million. 25,000? What do you think? I'm some anyway.
Yeah, you go through that quick.
I think when he approached me and Justin and he saw me, he was like, "Hello, monkeys." I thought the man was Frieza for sure.
Yeah, so I was gonna say he was Frieza.
He was definitely Frieza. I'm like, that's what it is. I'm like, the fuck out of my face. Anyway, he eventually found a way through Marn to get Marn to leave the Empire. Then Marn convinced Justin to leave the Empire to go to Evil Genius for the money. And that's when the poaching starts to begin. And because I had no money, I didn't have the money. And America's a capitalist country. There was no way for me to hold on to any of the players. And that's when the second generation rose. That's where the second generation rose up. Guys like KDZ. That was like our main he's still our captain commander till this day. He's still
Mm.
out there competing for Empire Arcadia till this day.
Mm.
But when he came around, he already saw what Empire Arcadia was going to be. He's like, well, Triforce, if you don't find a way to get a loan, you're going to lose like 90% of your players.
Mm.
And I was like, damn. So I was like, so what's going to happen to the EMP? Because I tried getting loans. I really did.
Mm.
And I needed to get a loan because I needed a loan to infuse the organization with capital to set up an infrastructure so that we can go to market and buy turning the dynasty into we want to sell merchandise.
I remember you guys. I feel like you guys had fight sticks.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
So when we spoke to Nelson Reyes, rest in peace, Nelson, EMP remix, he saw what he was like. Yeah, he's like, let me deal with the players. You focus on the infrastructure for the future of the Empire. Anyone will tell you, Triforce used to go on Twitter and go on SRK's site and always talk about restructure. Because I already saw it as a poor black man from the hood. Triforce, ain't nobody coming to give no loan to maintain the world's fighting game team. If I was Jewish, Chinese, Japanese, Russian, German, Ukrainian, somebody else, they'd come. Silverstein would come. Hey, aren't you Jacob's son? Yes. What you doing? I have the #1 winning fighting game team in the world. In this industry called esports. Look, I got the Guinness World Record. Really? And what you doing? Well, it's kind of hard. I got to get money. I know some people. Doors open up. All doors open up all of a sudden. Hey, let's get this guy set up and whatever the case may be. And blah, blah, blah. Why? Yo, it's what's his name's son. Oh, yeah, the one at the bar mitzvah party. Every race in the world does this, except for black people. We are the only ones. We see one of us getting somewhere and doing something. That nigga, man. I'm like, damn. We really just sitting here hating? So I realized the inevitable doom upon the Empire. And I was like, if I don't change the course, if I don't pivot, the Empire will be wiped off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
So fast forward now to we lost the arc 2013.
Yeah.
That was the final arc.
Yeah.
Everyone was gone. Long Island Joe was with us and the whole 9 yards.
Shout out to LA Joe.
Empire. Yeah, but shout out to Long Island Joe. But he was a close friend of the Empire.
Yeah.
If you know like 300, the movie, you know you have the Arcadians.
Yep.
They were not a part of the Spartans. But when the Spartans needed them, they were there to fight against Xerxes. So that's Long Island Joe. He was that nigga there.
Yeah, he was mad cool. He's a really good guy.
Dude. He's him.
He's real. Him. And I met him. It's before I got married. So we're shoot. I think this is. I came to one of his tournament, East Coast Throwdown, and that's what it was. He beat Ita in Street Fighter V, and he made top 8. Congrats. So I came up to. We're talking for a while. Super nice guy, really cool dude, and just raw and very humble too. So he was really easy to talk to.
Sorry.
Yeah, you're good.
Up the rest of the juice? I shouldn't have drunk in that hot sauce. I didn't want you to take that back. Oh boy. So he was one of those guys. He was with the Empire. One of the Empire's greatest wins. We have so many of them. But one of the wins that stuck in my mind was when Empire Arcadia officially conquered the United States. Literally, there's an actual moment in Evo history where we conquered the United States. Street Fighter 4, 5v5 national team tournament. So I think it was 5 or 7 teams. The East Coast had a team. Empire Arcadia made a team in the East Coast. So you had East Coast, Empire, South, North, Midwest, West, something like that. I don't remember. Somebody could correct me on the full details. The point is, Empire had their own team. We had Arturo, Sanford, Justin. Who was our 4th? Was it Evo Rashawn? Or was it Jerron?
I'm literally. I think I found it on YouTube. Is it Empire Arcadia versus Team Spooky? First to 5?
No. It's
No.
a national. It was a regional tournament. It happened at, was it Evo? Did it happen at Evo? I forgot what. No, it's definitely 2009 from what I can remember.
Okay.
Definitely 2009. It was at a big major tournament. It was a regional tournament. Each region of the United States had a 5-man team.
Okay.
And the Empire made a 5-man team. And we had a slot open and we couldn't. Marn